Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Welcome back, 23 after the hour. Thanks very much for staying with me. I'm Jim Blasingame, and my website is smallbusinessadvocate.com. Hope you check it out when you get a chance. Lots of stuff that will help you with your small business. Subscribe to my newsletter if you will. I would appreciate that. I think you'll like it too. We'll send it to you every Sunday afternoon by email. Don't forget to take our poll question right on the homepage. You can ask a question. Answer our question. And when you do that, you'll be able to see how the poll is going so far. Every week we ask a different one. So check all that out at smallbusinessadvocate.com. And, of course, archives and articles, thousands of all of those to help you with your business. Dal LaMagna is with us. And Dal is a new friend. He's the author of Raising Eyebrows. And he's the tweezer man. Many of you will know who that is. For 30 years or so, he started and ran that company and sold it. And you know, he's as I said earlier, if Dal can get rich selling tweezers, surely you can make a living doing something else. Dal, give us that website again, too, please.
Oh, it's raisingeyebrows.com.
Yeah.
And again, you can ask me a question there. There's a thing you press called Ask Dal. Great to hear from you guys.
So check it out. Now we got a lot of folks who are unemployed, and they want to start. They're like I was, you know, in '89 when I got laid off. I need to feed my family, so I started my own business, kind of like you did back in the '70s. They're at that situation, but they don't always know exactly where to start. And I know one thing. The capital available to start a business is not like it was several years ago. So they've got to start on a frugal with a frugal attitude. Talk to us about how to get a business off the ground. You mentioned earlier in the previous segment, make sure it's something you want to do and you know how to do. What's the next thing you do? You talked about being frugal. What's next?
Well, the first thing. Make sure you're organized. If you're not an organized person, don't start a business. Go find someone else who has started a business and work with them. I mean, be organized. You need to be organized all the time. And that's not something that you're born with. You learn how to be organized. You put something where it belongs. You keep it there. You keep track of all your expenses. You don't want to pay income taxes, and one way to avoid them is to keep track of every penny you spend and write it off. So you be organized. The next thing is you have to focus. Most people who are capable of starting a small business usually get an idea a week. You don't want to be distracted. I was so, finally, with tweezing, man, I was so focused. I had one tweezer. That's all I sold. People said, hey, why don't you sell scissors or why don't you sell nail polish? I just sold a tweezer for 2 years.
But you'd already been unfocused. You knew that didn't work.
That doesn't work.
Prior to that.
Exactly.
When you got to tweezers, you said, you know what, this is a wagon I'm going to hook my star to, and that's what you did.
And, you know, it comes down to you don't have someone telling you what to do. You need a plan for organizing your time and resources. I call it the geometric representation of a well-run, balanced business. It's the equilateral triangle. It has three sides. There are three basic things you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing a product that you're selling or selling a service. That's one. You're going to be selling it. That's two. And then you're going to be running your business. You're going to be controlling your business. Those three things need equal amounts of your time, energy, and resources. If you got $3,000 to spend, don't spend it all on advertising. You spend, $1,000 on a computer. You'll spend $1,000 on maybe doing brochures, a sales pitch, and $1,000 you invest in your product or your service. Balance your time. Very important. I get into it really deeply into my book. Just want to say that here. Another thing is, some people say, I want a partner. Well, if you're going to have a partner, my advice is get two.
Yeah.
Two people sometimes can't make up their minds, but three always can.
Partnerships are fraught with peril, and only go into a partnership if there's no other choice.
Exactly. Initially, maybe you pick up a partner or two. Well, you pick up two partners along the way. I had two partners in my factory in India, so that we always were able to make decisions. Another thing is, you start doing things with people, with businesses, always write the agreements down. I'm not saying you have to go out and hire a lawyer and negotiate a contract unless it's a serious thing. You write things down. If you're going to work with a family member, you write it down what the deal is.
One of the things that you mentioned in your book Dal, and I think it's something I talk about on the show all the time. If you aren't prepared to manage your business's financials, don't go into business, because it's as important as locking the door and unlocking it, turning the lights on, having a phone. It's as fundamental as all that. You must be able to track how your business is doing financially. Talk to us about that.
First of all, I kept track of everything. I had a system where my accountant wasn't screaming at me at the end of the year when we had to do the taxes. Every invoice is paid for by a check. Now, if I'm out in a cab and I'm using cash, I get a cash receipt. What I did was I used to stick them in an envelope, and I'd write the amount on the outside of the envelope. And then when I filled that envelope up with receipts, I would add it all up and say it was $90.86. And then I would write a check to cash to pay for that envelope, and then I would attach that envelope as a receipt for cash. So that's how I picked up all my cash receipts. I also did statements, profit and loss statements, every month.
That's the key.
Relentlessly.
It's amazing how many businesses would fail every year because they don't do that.
Yeah, that's that 1/3. You have to keep track of things. That's one of the things I say you got to invest your time in. Some people, that's all they do, by the way. They're always keeping track of things, and they don't pay attention. And I also gave those statements to my bank, because eventually I wanted to borrow money from those people, and they love people who keep track of stuff. They love to know where things are numerically.
Good startup advice from somebody who's been there, folks. Now that we found Dal LaMagna, we're going to hang on to him. We're going to get him back again real soon, get him to share more of his wisdom on his successes, what he's learned about success, but also what he learned from his failures. His book is called Raising Eyebrows. Hey, Dal, come back again real soon, will you?
I will, and you can always ask Dal. Go to my website.
All right, check it out, folks. Quick break. Stay with me. I'm Jim Blasingame. I'll be right back.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited.